Welcome back. We are coming near to the end of professional writing. Congratulations to you. I want to share with you some final thoughts to consider before you turn in your projects. So let's get going. So this is a slightly different kind of document to edit because not only do you have text to edit, but you also have visuals. And yes, you need to edit those as well. So consider all of these bullet points. Is the visual data actually communicating? Does it communicate both in the image and in the space around the images, the space around the text? Look at the titles, look at your balance, look at your organization. All of that should be communicating efficiency, fluidity, competence. All of those things can be sharpened with good proofreading. So when you think about text, and obviously for some of you, you haven't written specifically in paragraphs, but if you think about a paragraph, like for example, if you were writing an essay, you need to have this structure, right? Well, the same really goes for any kind of writing, even though it might be slightly different. You still need to have some sort of plan, some sort of topic that you're covering. So in a brochure, it might be that every panel has its own topic. In a newsletter, every section is probably a slightly different topic, although the pages might be a topic and there might be subtopics within them, right? And then a set of instructions is a little different because you have this overarching topic, but you've broken it down into chunks. So really you can see the similarity between your projects and more traditional kind of writing. The organization is still really important. It needs to make sense, the order in which you put things. And it's really easy to change that and make it more precise in this technological world in which we live. It's very easy to cut and paste and move things around so that it makes the most sense to you. And then oftentimes something that doesn't come through in a first draft is smooth transitions. So you want to make sure that whether you're working from chunk to chunk in a newsletter, or whether you're moving from panel to panel in a brochure, or whether you're moving from step to step in a set of instructions, make sure that the transitions are clear, that you're clearly having a transition, especially in instructions, that's important, and make sure that there's some fluidity and some smoothness. Remember, all writing, you're trying to make a smoother road for your readers to travel as possible. Please remember to use correct sentence structure. That doesn't change. In fact, if you're creating something that's going to be promotional for your business or your institution, the correct writing is going to communicate an enormous amount. It's going to communicate just as much as the actual content of what you're saying. So remember that two complete sentences cannot be separated by a comma. That's called a comma splice. The comma is not strong enough to do that. You need to change it to a semicolon, or of course you can also change the entire structure and change it to a period. Run-ons, this is when we've kind of just abandoned punctuation altogether. This is a very common first draft error because we tend to be writing faster. We're thinking faster than we can write. So again, you want to edit for correct grammar, for correct punctuation, and add punctuation to make the sentence make sense for your reader. And finally, fragments are probably the most common kind of error that I see, and that's simply when a sentence is missing either the subject or the verb or both. And you can see the examples here. The blue dog has a subject, but it has no verb. Simply adding that verb, what did the blue dog do? You have a complete sentence. To the store has no subject or a verb. Who is doing what to the store? Adding a subject and a verb, I'm going to the store, you have a complete sentence. So if this is something that you've struggled with in the past, this is a great thing to ask another reader to proof for you. You can also visit the Writing Center or Vault, VAWLT, through UMA and get some assistance, because these are going to be really important corrections that are going to really strengthen your final product. So thinking about your words, really want to omit wordiness. You've been working all semester on this, right? You're really trying to communicate with brevity, with precision. So omitting wordiness is important, choosing the best word, not necessarily the biggest word, not necessarily the most words, just the finest words you can. And of course, checking spelling on any kind of document that's going to be distributed is incredibly important. I really recommend reading your work out loud to yourself. You will catch things that you wouldn't catch otherwise, and having other sets of eyes on it as well. A spelling error, if you imagine that you were copying a brochure, for example, and you made 2,000 copies, a spelling error is really problematic. It's an expensive mistake. So again, punctuation, semicolons, their main use is to divide two complete sentences. Commas tend to offset additional information. They can create links. People usually use commas correctly. Semicolons are the ones that tend to be more troublesome. I think everyone's pretty clear on periods, exclamation points, and question marks. But, again, just do a one-over, make sure these things all exist. And then as a side note, especially for those of you who might be including testimonials, if you're using quotation marks, the punctuation goes inside the quotation marks because it's part of the person's quote, right? So that's just a little aside. Apostrophes indicate ownership. Apostrophe S is singular. So if you had one girl who owned a cat, it'd be the girl's cat, apostrophe S, whereas S apostrophe is plural. If there are multiple girls, say there are sisters, then it's the girl's cat, S apostrophe. Just something you got to memorize. So after saying all this, a really good plan is to just look at one issue at a time. Don't try to look at all of it at once. As I said, read things out loud to yourself. You will catch errors that you otherwise wouldn't catch. Have someone else look at it. And please don't simply rely on spell and grammar check. And that'll allow you to have the cleanest copy possible. All right, see you soon.